The IRS stroked me a check last year for $49,000. Just bam, here's $49,000 back, right?
Get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
If you qualify for $100,000, go get a little 1-1 studio condo. Get something. Put a little new kitchen. Make it cute. Sell it in a year from now. Take that equity, buy your next one.
Most people I run up against, they're just like, why would I put down 20 grand to make $500 a month? I'm like, I don't think you understand how long a house stands. It stands for hundreds of years. It will print money long after you're dead.
Hey friends, today we're in the studio with Jason Rash, who is a real estate investor and a real estate agent. He has over 17 properties, so we're going to be digging into that today. And he also sells real estate, so we're going to be talking a little bit about the differences of being an investor versus selling real estate and what that means and how you could potentially work with more investors. But I just love this guy's energy. He has a great social media presence. We're going to be talking about that as well, pulling some tips from him. And if you stay to the end, he's going to give you a real estate investing guide. So I'm going to tell you how to download that. So stay to the end, you get the real estate investing guide. So we'll check that out. So first off, welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it, man. This is going to be high energy. I mean, right before we even got started, we're talking about He-Man, G.I. Joe, Miami Vice. I'm like, it's only going to get lit from here. Yeah. Flames everywhere. Cue the emoji flames.
We got a couple 80s boys here. So, yeah, we're just reminiscing about the cool toys that we had back in the 80s. So
they were dope.
They were dope.
100%.
So, hey, what I love about you is like your energy, how you put so much energy into everything you do. And it's contagious because when you have high energy, it gets everybody else excited around you. So tell me a little bit about your journey in real estate and real estate investing.
Sure. So I got started investing in real estate actually by accident. My father passed away in June of 2020. And, and let me back up even before that. I barely graduated high school. You know, I've been broke almost most of my adult life, all the way up to 32. And my wife and I, we stumbled upon network marketing and we built a business from home. That's a home-based business. We built a business from home, grew that thing to $50,000 a month in income and beyond. And my father, before he passed away, said, hey, listen, you're making a little bit of money. I like how he says a little bit of money, even though you're making 6 figures a month. He's like, you're making a little bit of money. You need to invest that in real estate. Well, my dad, that actually went against everything my dad taught me because he was like, you need to invest in stocks and all this other stuff. He told me all about it. But finally, before he passed away, he told me that. However, I didn't listen to him. I thought I was like a unicorn stock picker. You know, like we're all out there, right? Like everybody's like, yeah, listen, I got this hot stock, right? So I plowed a bunch of money into a stock. And then 4 to 5 months after he passed away in June of 2020, about October 2020, I lost $21,000 in 8 minutes, just evaporated, man. I was like, it was aftermarket hours, couldn't do anything, nothing at all. And it was unbelievably terrifying because I'm like, how deep is this going to go? How wide is it going to go, right? Is this going to affect everything else that I have in my portfolio? And I could hear my dad's words one more time coming back up saying, you need to invest in real estate. I woke up the very next morning, took all my money out of the stock market, sold everything, like everything. And I said, okay, I'm going to give myself 90 days to figure this out. So I went into single family homes. It felt like the most easy to do. You know, if you don't know what you're doing, you don't want to jump in and take a ton of risk just based on emotion. So I was like, okay, I've got 90 days. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to close on my first deal in 90 days. Now, let me tell you where I was at, just so you know that where I was at. I had no idea what I was looking at. I had no idea what I was doing. I went to Amazon and I bought 3 books, like how to invest in real estate, how to build a real estate empire, and then how to invest in long-term rentals or something like that. Anyway, it was all around the same thing. And I said, okay, I gotta figure this out pretty quickly. So I was like, okay, by day 60, I need to at least know what I'm looking at, what a great deal looks like. And by day 30, by 30 days out before the close, I need to have a house locked up. So like 20 days into it, I started posting on the internet. I said, hey, I'm a real estate investor. I'm going to be buying houses. Somebody send me a house. This guy reached out to me from high school. I hadn't even spoken to him in 20 years. He's like, hey man, I got a house for you. And he sent me all the details and I was like, this is either going to be a unicorn or it's going to be a bust. And I did the math and I was like, $314 a month. I can't possibly screw this up. Like I possibly cannot mess this up beyond that. And so I went in and I bought it and it's been incredible. And that is pretty much how I got started investing in real estate.
So your first one was a single family home?
Yeah, absolutely. 3-2. So it's a 3-2 and then 1,600 square feet. I bought that thing. It was $65,000. off market. I did all the stuff myself. I sourced a lender, and that was the hardest part, is finding somebody who's going to lend me 50 grand after I put down my $13,000. Who's going to lend me 50 grand for 30 years and make like a quarter a month on interest, right? Yep. Who's going to do that, right? That was the hardest part. Had to do all the not the loan docs, but I had to do all of the due diligence, because he was like, I don't want to use a real estate agent. So I was like, okay, I had to do all of it myself. He's like, you figure it out, find the closing attorney, get everything together, all the disclosures, you give me all the paperwork, and I'll give you to the house at this price point. So that's it.
So that was the first property. Now, when you bought that, was it cash flowing?
Oh yeah. I put $13,000 down. That thing cash flowed $800 right out from month one. I mean, it's insane. I've owned that thing for 3 years. Do the math. I mean, like, already your wheels are spinning. Like, hold on, let me get this right. You put $13,000 down, you're cash flowing at $800 in month one. I mean, we're talking $9,600 a month in positive cash flow in the first year. I mean, who doesn't want to get all of their money back, almost guaranteed within? Sorry, you can tell I love this stuff. Who doesn't want this, man? Like, so many people are like, they overcomplicate it with like the crypto and all this other stuff. I'm like, trust me, this is the pathway. Yeah.
So, I mean, basically what you're talking about is leveraging. You're leveraging the property. And a lot of people, think, well, maybe if I'm buying an investment property, I should be paying cash for it. But you just talked about the power of leverage.
Yeah.
You put down 13 grand and you're cash flowing on that thing like over 10,000 per year.
Yeah.
So you use 13 to make 10 per year.
Forever.
You made your investment back in a year. Over a year.
And I tell people this all the time. I'm like, if you have 100, you want to do some quick math? You're a math guy. Your people riding down the road right now, like they're math people. So let's take it like this. If we have $100,000 house, this is the biggest question I get. Should I pay all cash or should I just get a loan, right? Yep. So it's like I got $100,000 in cash. If I buy a $100,000 house, that house cash flows $1,000 a month. I'm putting $1,000 a month into my pocket every single month. That is terrible return on your money. Would you agree?
Yep.
That's a terrible return. But if I take the same $100,000 and I put it down on 5 houses at $20,000 each, and each one of them making $500 a month in positive cash flow after mortgage PITI is paid out, right? I'm making $2,500 a month on the 100 grand, right? I mean, it's which one's going to return your money faster to you? So,
and then you got the X factor. So when did you purchase that, and what did you purchase it for?
So I purchased the first house. I bought it in February 6, 2021. I bought it for $63,750.
Okay. So we're talking like a little over 2.5 years ago.
Yeah. 3 years ago.
3 years ago. What do you think it's worth now?
It's like worth 100 and about 135, 140. I've already, like, the house is literally almost doubled in value.
Right.
So 13 grand.
So you're cash flowing on it.
Yep.
You're making a huge return every year, not counting for appreciation.
Right.
And then you get the appreciation.
Yeah.
And then you get the tax deduction.
Yes.
You can write off the interest and the taxes on you can do a Schedule E.
Yeah.
You can deduct everything.
Yeah.
You can offset other W-2 income or other income from that.
Yeah. And you can also do depreciation.
You can do your upfront depreciation or long-term depreciation, depending on what type of rental property it is.
Yeah.
Sounds like a no-brainer.
Yeah. I mean, I tell people this all the time. I mean, for me, like, I think so many people get the path of wealth. So many people are listening to these financial media gurus, and they have their own agenda. That's the most important thing for most people to understand. Regular, average people to understand that Jim Cramer and everybody else has their own financial agenda. The moment they mention something, they've already bought that stock, and they're just waiting for it to go so they can do the pump and dump. Like, Wall Street makes zero money from real estate investing. And that's why nobody's talking about it. But unfortunately, most people don't, I don't want to say unfortunately, what's hidden from most people is that they don't understand that the pathway to wealth, it truly has to be a boring, repeatable pathway. Has to be. There's no other way to make it. Like, it's got to be so boring. Like, you'd rather watch the walls of this paint dry. You know what I mean? Like, oh my God, look at that paint. Oh, we got to flake that. Oh, it's drying over there. That's it. You don't want adventure in your investing. You want adventure in your business, but you don't want adventure when it comes to investing. You want it boring.
So what was the next property after that?
So I flew in for that property, which is super cool. I explained to my son, I said, we're going to acquire 100 single family homes. And I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you out of school. I'm going to fly you in. You're going to come to the closing. We're going to do all this stuff. So as I'm flying in, my agent, I hired an agent for the next one. She called me and said, hey, I got this property. It just came up. I said, cool, done. Let's go check it out. We flew in, got in the rental car, went to check out the second property I was going to be buying, put an offer in on that one, got accepted, and then drove to the closing for the first one.
So you're buying all of these out of state?
Yes, correct.
Where are you buying them at?
Alabama.
Alabama.
Yeah.
So you're buying them out of state. So you're managing out of state rentals.
Yeah. 1,500 miles away from Colorado. When I lived in Colorado, that's when I did about 1,500 miles away.
Which is interesting because I've talked to other investors who are more in the short-term rental space, and a lot of those guys are virtual as well. Tell me about what's it like managing that far away? And do you hire a manager or do you self-manage?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So the trick to wealth is to release yourself from the time. So when I first started this, I was like, the main thing I want to do is I don't want to be managing these. So what I did was I placed them all in one area. Then I hired a property management company to manage the same property management company. They can do the whole entire Tri-County. But also within that, I've got the same power company. I have like 2 or 3 water companies that I have to deal with, but that's about it. I don't do heat. I don't do gas. They turn all that stuff on. So it makes it very, very simple for me to be able to manage all these from one place at one time. It's great. I mean, it takes me so for 15 of the rentals, it literally takes me about 15 minutes a month, maybe 20 minutes a month. That's it. Cause I'm just reading reports. I'm so fast at it now, I can probably do it in like 10 minutes. Nice. If not faster. I mean, that's a true pathway. That's what most people want. Like, and this is not a put down on STRs. STRs are great. Don't get me wrong, but that is another job. You get enough of them, it turns into another job. I don't want another job. I want to make $1 million a month passively, and I don't want to talk to anybody. Like, that's a dream for everybody. If you ask me, is that the dream for you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to talk to anybody. I want to be able to go to, Vietnam or wherever. And I just want checks to flow in as I'm hiking through the jungles of Tibet. That's all I want.
Did you leverage all your properties?
Every one of them. Every one of them. So like when actually the interest rates started to run up, they made me start putting down 25%. Yeah. And they actually did some of the loan were actually 20-year. They're 20-year on a 5-year AM or a 3-year AM. So that's an amortization for anyone listening that doesn't know what an AM is. AM is meaning basically I'm going to have to refinance the loan in 36 months or 60 months. But Gotcha. It's financed out at a 20-year math rate.
Yeah. I mean, usually 20-year AMs right now, you're getting really the best rate, 15 and 20. So if you can get them on 15 and 20, then eventually they'll be paid off.
Yeah.
A couple things to look at. So tell me about if you're talking to somebody who wants to get into real estate investing.
Yeah.
So, they hear this and like, oh man, I would love to buy my first property. Right now we're sitting in Palm Beach County.
Yeah.
You can't get anything for $65,000.
No, you cannot do what I do here. You cannot do what I do here.
So what would be your advice?
I would export that money out of state. Like literally that's what me and my wife are going to do. Like everything. So I sell real estate down here as well. Like all of my commissions will literally go to buy real estate out of state. Just like, if you can get within 150 miles of the coast, your insurance drops dramatically. With the rise of insurance costs, we know about that, right? But yeah, to do what I do here is almost impossible. If not, everybody hears about the astronomical rents here, $3,000 a month, $4,000 a month, $5,000 a month, but that comes with $1 million property. You're having to put $200,000 down to be able to get that.
Yep.
And that to me is not a great return either.
So to get started, one of the things that we're seeing right now is what I'm calling accidental landlords.
Yeah.
So, and sometimes it's good, and sometimes it's really not what the client wants to do. But right now, you have all these people sitting on 1.5%, 2%, 2.5% mortgages. They have homestead tax.
Yeah.
So they're sitting. Maybe they bought the house for $400,000. Now it's worth $800,000-900,000. Super low taxes, super low mortgage payment.
Yeah.
Their insurance probably went up a little bit, but that's still pretty low. And maybe they have a payment of like $3-4 a month, and they can rent their place for like $7 or $8.
Yeah.
So they're looking at, this like, hey, listen, well, I can move, I can rent my place out, have a rental property, make big money on it, just because of this situation. Some people are forced to move and they have to rent it out because they don't want to sell it and, get rid of a 2% mortgage.
Sure. Hold on to that thing, baby. It is like hold it above your head and tout that thing proud at parties. Yeah, I got the 2%. You know what I mean?
Hey, you got to do it.
What if we all had gold chains, by the way, like Flavor Flay, and it had our actual interest rate on it, like 2% dog walking in, and everybody's be, oh my God, you got a 3.1%. Let's go. You know what I mean? That would be so funny. Yeah.
So yeah, to become a landlord down here, it is tough. It's going to be super tough, Palm Beach County, to get started. Unless you're an accidental landlord, then maybe you can get one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really, really tough. But there are other markets. There are other areas around here where you can purchase and get rental properties.
Yeah.
So what would you look for in a market then as a good market to invest in?
So for me personally, I want to come in like the sweet spot is $200,000. That's the sweet spot because you have a tenant that's coming in. They're paying a higher mortgage. Let's say $1,850, $1,950, $2,150 a month. Okay, I'm going to put $40,000 down. I'm going to maybe getting 1% on that. But the $200,000, what's great about it is I look for spots in the Southeast, number one, all red states. I'll never invest in a blue state. Never would invest because there's no rent cap in red states. So I can raise it up 32. I raised my rents 32%. And they were all begging me like, oh God, that's it. Thank you so much. Right. But I'm not doing that because I got to offset property taxes and insurance. Whenever you have a rent cap, you're kind of stuck and you go into negative equity, negative cash flow. But additionally, I mean, I look for places with Air Force bases. I look for places outside of large cities. So like anywhere in the Southeast is fantastic. Mississippi, Tennessee, minus Nashville. You got all of Alabama except for Birmingham. You've got all of Georgia except for the Atlanta area, southern Georgia. Like if I was going to do this all over again, Valdosta, Georgia, that would be it, man. Like that would be my spot, man. They got a major university there. It's right off I-75. It's 150 miles from the coast. It is dead on the point of where you want to go. Now, the homes there are 230, 255. I've been looking at them and I'm just like, those are sweet spots. I mean, but again, it's not going to get you $6,000 a month in rent, but you're not also paying $1 million for a property.
Right.
Now that's where I would invest. Like, so North Florida, but South Georgia, South Carolina, you know, all of those areas are great. Anywhere in the South is fantastic. Anywhere, because everybody's coming here. I think if anything, if you have a transplant coming in, I think if COVID taught us one thing, is that life is short. Like unbelievably short, and you can just be wiped out with like a virus just like that, right? And it's a situation where like people are like, look, I'm not going to shovel snow if I don't have to. I'm not going to deal with these property taxes any longer if I don't have to. The smart thing to do for most people, if they want to get involved in real estate and really do it right, and this is what I did when I first moved here. If I had all that equity as you spoke of, I bought a house for $400,000, and then it's worth $800,000. I got that coveted 2.1% interest rate. Is to take that home, rent it, and go live in an apartment. Yeah. That is because it costs $350 to get in a $3,000 a month unit. Like, and everybody's, oh my God, you're throwing away rent. Actually, you're not. You're not. I don't see it that way, but I mean, that is the smartest way to do this whole game.
Yeah, I mean, I always tell clients too, like, listen, if you want to start investing in real estate, the best thing to do is convert your primary into a rental. Go buy another primary.
That's the first step for most people. Yeah, I mean, that is the very first step of how most people get involved in real estate. For a primary residence,
like if you can buy with 3% down, live in it. If you want to do a fix and flip, you live in it for 2 years, fix it up, sell it. You're exempt from capital gains if you lived in it 2 years into your primary residence.
2 out of 5.
Or you just convert it after 1 year into a rental property. So buy 3% down, convert it to a rental property. Next property, you buy 5% down. Yeah. Live in it a year, convert it to a rental property, and just keep doing that.
And veterans have it even better. They got to put 0% down.
0% down.
I mean, like, look, I'll be very honest with you. Veterans need more stuff from the government, and that is one of the truest blessings. Like if you're a veteran and you're not utilizing that, you are missing a massive opportunity. 0% down. Literally, I can walk through the door, put not a penny down, I can live in that bad boy, and then I can go ahead and rent it out. But now I do have to convert out of a VA loan into a conventional loan later on because I can't get just a multitude of those things. But, you know, talk to Ryan here. He'll lead you down the pathway.
That's right. VA loan is the best loan in the marketplace. The rate's lower than market. You can get the seller to cover all the closing costs. Yeah. You know, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. And those veterans deserve that. They need that. Yeah.
So let's get back into your rental property portfolio. Tell me about, like, why did you choose long-term rents over STR? So the big rage right now is STR, short-term rentals, Airbnb, VRBO, Booking.com. Why did you go long-term versus STR?
Well, number one, you know, like I said, I don't want another job. I know that, man. I got a friend of mine. He has 4,000 STRs, and he's like, dude, it's awful. It's consuming all of his day, all of his time. He's got management staff and systems in place, but he's like, to get it off the ground is the hardest part. Yep. You know, but that's the main thing. I just value my time. My kids are in a position where my son needs me. I want to be there for all the events. I just want to be there, man. And again, I don't want to be bothered. I just want to have a ton of money come in passively without my direct attention or involvement. I don't want to, you know, it's more predictable too. So a couple things. Number one, a tsunami of city council waves shutting down Airbnbs retroactively too. Some of them are shutting them down. Oh, by the way, if you had one and it's been open 18 months or less, you can shut that down too. Yep. They did that in Breckenridge. My friend got a $2 million place. They came in and said, hey, if you don't have a security guard, you don't have a waiting area, you don't have a gate, you don't have all these other stipulations, boom, you're out. And by the way, if you bought this within the last 18 months, that's out too. I'm like, whoa! You're sitting there with a $2 million property, and you can't long-term rent that thing.
You're not gonna be able to sell it because everybody's gonna be selling.
That is correct. So, I mean, if they could come along and just render your business model just obsolete overnight, just poof, you're out of business, and now you're stuck holding the bag. That's one thing that I really wanted to make sure I didn't put my family in that position. Long-term rentals, they just seemed like a simple, repeatable pathway. Whereas, like trying to judge, you know, people's behaviors and habits and vacationing habits, how much are they willing to spend, like, and then, you know, that's something that's not predictable. I can't predict that, right? Again, I think the true pathway to wealth has to be very boring and has to be repeatable. You have to be able to do the same thing over and over. Additionally, you also may have another virus come along. You may have another shutdown come along. You may have taxes go up. And, you know, let's be real, man. Like Airbnbs are destination cities. People do not have Montgomery, Alabama. People do not have Montgomery, Alabama on their family calendar. Hey, family, let's go to Montgomery, Alabama. Nobody got that. Nobody has that. Said nobody ever, right? So property taxes are going to be higher. Insurance is going to be higher. So, there's a lot of things. And again, there's so many unknown variables with STR. You hear about all these people making all this money, but whenever you start to really ask them, hey, what was your management cost? That was 28%. 28%. You're giving away 28. Some people giving away 32% of the money. I'm like, 32%. Wow, that's staggering. That's a lot.
And you're subject to seasonality. You're subject to, I'm on some of these forums where people post about their Airbnbs, and like some markets are completely dead, like no bookings for 2 months. Like they don't know what's going on.
Who's going to shoulder that?
It could be saturated markets. Everybody bought Airbnbs, and now you have too many Airbnbs in a certain market.
And I'll tell you this, if you have an Airbnb, if you don't theme it the right way, you're sunk. You can't just post up a white tile floor and then a photo and be like, come look at rent my Airbnb. It's got to be themed. It's got to be Instagrammable. It's got to be a destination. Like, and by the way, that costs even more money. Now you're buying a super nice place, right? And then you can only, and then you got to furnish it, and you got to theme it, and you got to paint all these certain colors, and you got to put all this awesome stuff. By the way, this is awesome artwork. I want to shout out to your wife. Yeah. I mean, she's incredible. I mean, you could sell that on the internet for like 10 grand. Somebody will buy it. Ron DeSantis will buy it. I'm telling you, man. But I mean, it's just the cost. Again, none of that's predictable. Like, how much is it going to cost me to furnish this Airbnb? Right. Oh, that was in last year. This furniture's in this year. Sorry, that's out. Now you got to replace all of it,
And you're at the mercy of the reviews. You're always going to get the cowboy tenant that comes in there and is like, everything was perfect. Communication was amazing. They got gifts. Yeah. The place is impeccable. Clean, they got, they sunk, the host sunk all this money and time into it. And then, they want to be a cowboy and give you like a 3-star. Yeah. Like, no, it wasn't perfect enough. There was some noise from the road, or it wasn't the best area. I couldn't walk to here. Yeah. And then that one low review is going to sink you. Yeah. I mean, tell me what's predictable about that. Yeah. Like, in your eyes, the more that we talk this out, does that sound like a repeatable pathway to wealth? It's a lot harder. I don't know. STRs are great. I mean, I have an STR, so I understand. And this isn't a put down on STRs. How hard it is. I think STRs, there's a lot of advantage to it. Yeah. Because you can turn it off and turn it on when you want to. Sure. Like if you're going out of town, you just maybe turn it off if you self-manage. But what if you have 17 of them? If you want to scale, it gets infinitely harder, and you better have a manager or co-host or somebody. Challenges, absolutely. And the whole part to the STRs is really the communication. Yeah. Service. It's all about service. Yeah, like I'm a super host on mine. Yeah. Just because I know how to communicate with people. Yeah. But I only have 3 units. How many of those can you do? No, this would be max. Yeah. I mean, can you do 30? Can you do 300? No. Like I could do 300, and it literally would take me another 20 minutes of my month. What would scare me though is like offloading that communication to somebody else. Oh, yeah. Because I know how well I communicate with people, like instantaneously. Yeah. Like over the top, nice, anything else I can do, like Ritz-Carlton type communication. You think a VA for $5 an hour over in Vietnam is going to take care of that for you? No, no. And you're not going to get the 5 stars. You're not going to get the experience really that you want to give. Yeah. So, how do you scale it? I mean, that's a question I have. I don't know the answer to that. It's systems and processes. But again, you're exactly right, man. It is literally like, can you find somebody who can type like you, replicate you, instant productivity? I mean, you got to pay for that person to always be on. They always have to be on, and they got to be friendly. And the cleaning crew cannot make a mistake. Nope. There can't be a hair on that bed. Right. They better send you pictures because there's all these scams going around right now that, guests will check in and be like, oh, the place wasn't cleaned. Yeah. Well, if you don't have pictures to prove it, they can, you have to basically refund them the entire stay, even though it was a scam. It's crazy now that you mentioned that. So I checked in an STR one time, and it was out in the middle of Colorado somewhere, Grand Lake, I believe it was. Beautiful area. If you're ever out there, you should go out there and see it. Anyway, they were running behind because the guests wouldn't leave the other house. So we check in, and the whole place is trashed. And it's just like, this is a real damper. Like, seriously. And so I told the owner, took all the photos, and he had to refund the whole thing. I think it was like $400 something bucks or something from what I remember. And I'm like, he just ate that. Like, literally ate that money. And I'm like, wow, dude, how many of these times? Like I think what so many people don't realize is how many of these deals can you do before it turns into a bad deal? Right. And I don't think that's what, I think people get caught up in the glamour and the sexiness. Again, I'm not against STRs. I'm just like, I ask people all the time, how are you going to scale this? Like, how are you going to scale this? 1 to 2, most people have 3, 5. Like most people have 5. Like that's the most that most people can manage before it's like, hey, I got to quit my day job to go do this. You know what I mean? I'm like, but again, it's like, why did you get into this? Like time freedom, I think is what everybody truly wants. Would you agree? Mm-hmm. Yes or yes? Yeah. But you can get a much larger return on STRs. And that's really what attract people to it.
Yeah.
But on the other side, you have a lot more expense.
Yeah.
I mean, you got your cleaning, you got all your taxes.
But is it that really big of a return? Is it? I mean, the IRS stroked me a check last year for $49,000. Just bam, here's $49,000 back, right? All for long-term investing. But now look, you can actually do that through some STRs. There's some programs out there where you can get that depreciation. Yep. But it's not for 27 and a half years, Well,
a lot of times what I've been hearing is what investors are doing with the STRs is that there's a carve out in the IRS code, and I'm no CPA, but this is what I've been hearing is going on.
Yeah.
And we had a couple clients last year that were trying to close by December 27th in order to get this exemption. But you can do, if you buy a short-term rental and it's leased out for the year, you can do a cost segregation. Yeah. So you hire a separate appraiser. He goes in and he does a cost segregation. So he says, okay, well, those handle sets, cost, $100, and the cabinets are this.
Itemizes the plumbing, whole thing out.
Itemize everything out. Then you can do an upfront depreciation where you can literally depreciate like the entire building upfront. You don't have to be in the real estate business, which is like one of the terms that the IRS uses, or have a real estate license.
Real estate professional.
So that it allows these investors to buy the STRs and get that upfront, one-time depreciation, which can ultimately, like if they're a high W-2 earner, it could save them, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars. So there are advantages there, but I like your thought process too. Is like, set it and forget it. Yeah. Not having the day-to-day stuff that you're dealing with, the in and outs of the different, families going in and out of the property, banging the walls with their
you don't
luggage.
know what they're doing in there too. I mean, they come back in and you're like, whoa, I don't know what they did in here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it's got, again, this isn't, I think they both have the strengths and weaknesses, but again, I think it has to match what, we talked about like a new investor and what they would want. I think people have to really analyze their goals. They got to know what they really want. Like I knew from the jump that I wanted to be hiking through the jungles of Tibet and I want $1 million to flow in my bank account. Do not want to talk to anyone. Like I've got all my systems will do it for me. I don't want to talk to anybody. And I know some people are like, oh my God, he's lazy. I'm the hardest worker in the room. Right. But at some point, I'm not going to be the hardest worker in the room. And I realize that. I'm 46 now. Where do I want to be when I'm 56? I think it's just rolling all of that money, just keep rolling it. So it's predictable. For me, it's got to be predictable.
You always hear online, buy investment property with no money down and all these programs. I'll watch this program, give me $59.95 a month, and I'm going to show you how to buy investment properties. Does that stuff exist?
I think so. I'll tell you this. I think that's all BS. Number one, most of it is. It's what's crazy is most of those people have never done a deal before in their entire life. They just know enough about real estate to create a course and leverage their online influence. That's what's crazy about it. They make more money from selling the course than they actually do real estate investing. There's an old saying that Robert Kiyosaki said. The Godfather over here, Robert Kiyosaki. He said, real estate investing made me rich, but teaching others how to teach others to sell real estate investing courses made me wealthy. Like that is legit. Like, I don't know if you want to call that a pyramid scheme or what, but I mean, that's the truth, man, of it. So, what's crazy about it is I'm actually on Dave Ramsey, quote unquote, did an interview with me back in the day, a few years ago. And during this interview, which I did not know was happening at the time, imagine that, right? So somebody calls me and says, hey, I don't know if somebody has cloned you or if this is you, but I'm listening to the Dave Ramsey show right now, and this guy sounds exactly like you. And I was like, what's going on here? I said, send me the episode. So they send it over to me. And I listened to it. I'm like, oh my God, I'm on the Dave Ramsey show. It's a 7-minute segment where they continue to bash me like over and over and over and over. They're like, this guy's telling you to cash out your 401k, buy real estate. He's telling you to get into real estate with no money down. And he's also got a course he's trying to sell you. And I stopped for a minute and dude, they just bashed me. Shout out to you, Dave Ramsey. Shout out to you. They continued to bash me for 7 minutes. And my wife had like 4 or 5 friends over there. And they were like, we all watched it together. And I at the very end of it, stood up. I was like, oh my God, I was on the Dave Ramsey show. And everybody was like, are you going to like sue? Or are you going to like for slander? And I was like, I don't think you understand. I was on the Dave Ramsey show. Life really is truly how you perceive it, right? Because somebody would be like, how dare they? Who do they think they are? Think they can talk about this? And I was like, oh my God, I just got the best free publicity of my life from an Instagram reel that I put out that was unbelievably polarizing. And they just threw me on there and continued to bash me. And by the way, It goes back to 0% financing. I don't do any of that stuff. I've never encouraged anyone. And yes, I do have a course that I want to sell people, but so does Dave Ramsey. He's got a course they're trying to sell you as well. You know what I mean? I'm like, wait a minute. Don't they have a course too?
So to buy your first investment property, what's your advice?
I would say, like you said, like just literally could start from your primary and then rent that out. That's normally one way to do it. But if you don't want to get rid of your primary, literally save up the 20% and put it down.
Or run a HELOC.
Yeah, you can do a HELOC.
I mean, right now there's so much equity in people's properties.
Yeah.
So much equity.
Yeah.
Like take a little portion out, either through a HELOC or a second mortgage. You
could do that.
You use that as a down payment on the next property.
Yeah, you could do that. I mean, I did that for some of ours. I literally, just speaking of, can I give you a mathematical example?
Sure.
So like as we were going through COVID, I bought my house in 2019 and then 2021, whenever we were going through the run up of buying all the properties, I was like, I'm tired of using my own money. Like I'm literally tired of using the money that I have in my bank account. There's got to be another way to do this. And so I was like, equity in my property. Let's do it. So I refinanced and I took out, actually, I didn't do a HELOC. I actually did a cash out refinance. Yep. And so I took $40,000 out of this house. Now watch this. This is magic, right? You're like, you want to see magic? This is magic. I took this $40,000. I bought one house, put $20,000 down. It was a $100,000 home. Put $20,000 down on the other house. It was a $100,000 home, right? So to get my hands on the additional $40,000 cost me like $109 a month or something at the rate that I had over 30 years, right?
Yep.
I took these two homes together. This made me $500 a month in positive cash flow. This made me $500 a month in positive cash flow. Minus the $100, I'm literally making $900 a month doing nothing. Additionally, this house here has gone up $40,000. This house here has gone up $40,000. So I literally effectively took $40,000, turned it into $80,000, paying me $900 a month, and literally cost me nothing. That's magic.
Yep. Yeah, that's the power of leverage.
Yeah. And that's what you can't do whenever you just have all your cash going out. You can't leverage cash.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love it. And that's why I love real estate. I mean, whether it's examples like that or whether it's just talking to a client, we help finance, say, 2 years ago, they bought their first house up in Port St. Lucie for $300,000. And then we run just like a Zillow estimate on it and it's worth like $450,000. It's like how cool is that? Like how cool is real estate?
That's better than a 401k.
Like when I talk to first-time home buyers, it's like, that's what I'm telling them. Like, guys, listen, get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
If you qualify for $100,000, go get a little 1-1 studio condo, get something.
Yeah.
Make it nice, paint it, work on the weekends, get a little, go to Home Depot on the weekends, fix this place up, put a little new kitchen, make it cute, sell it in a year from now. Take that equity, buy your next one, but get your foot in the door.
Yeah.
Real estate, like just talking about that, it's like it's magic.
It literally is magic.
I mean, I've been doing this 20 years. It's the same thing for me. I remember my first property that I bought it for $135,000. I was stressing. I was sweating, man. My payment was gonna be like $1,250 a month. I was renting with roommates, and I was paying like $900.
Yeah,
man, I don't know if I can stretch to $1,250.
Did you house hack this thing?
So I got a couple buddies. I'm like, hey man, you rent that room for $400. I rented out the other room for $600, and I lived in the other one. Yeah. So it was only costing me effectively $250 a month. Yeah. Because I was renting out all the rooms. Place needed some work, but I spent the next 2 years fixing it up. Fixed up the the landscape, and I redid the AC, and we painted it. I knocked a wall down and made it look awesome. Yeah. $135,000. Fast forward 2 years later, the place is worth $185,000. I get an appraisal on it. Yeah. At that time, I wanted to start a mortgage company. I was like, listen, I need to start a mortgage company. It's going to cost me $50,000 to do it. I come from modest means. My parents aren't going to give me any money. They never gave me any money. It was just that tough love. I had no money, zero.
But you got money in that house.
But I had some money in the house. So I ran a home equity line of credit. At that time, you could go up to 100% of the value.
Oh my God. How crazy is that?
Pulled out the $50K, started a mortgage company with me and my buddy Lee Keith. Shout out to you, Lee Keith. Remember that coffee? We would be sitting in my my living room drinking coffee and just, doing deals, trying to do deals. Yeah. But if I never had the equity in that house, I would have never had the opportunity to start a mortgage company. I would never be sitting here today.
That's beautiful, man. That's magic.
Power of real estate.
That's magic. That's literally magic, man. When I see homes, I see property, all I see is just print money. I just see banks. I treat every one of my properties like a bank that's going to pay me forever. I mean, people I don't think most grasp the concept of I'm going to put $20,000 down. I'm going to use an easy math here. I'm going to put $20,000 down on a $100,000 home. It's going to make me $500 a month in positive cash flow every single month. Most people I run up against, they're just like, why would I put down 20 grand to make $500 a month? I'm like, I don't think you understand how long a house stands. It stands for hundreds of years. It will print money long after you're dead. And people just, they can't they're not seeing the short, they're not seeing the long term. They just see that short game.
That's right.
You know, they're just trying to get that flip. And I think it's a right mindset. If you want to become an investor, you know, you asked earlier about investing. It's like, I think if you're going to become a real estate investor, understand that you will not make money like your first couple of years. It's just literally you're going to put money into it and you might see a return because you're going to have vacancy. You got to stabilize the place. Yep. Like it takes time, but time does all the heavy lifting. Just like in your example you said earlier, like you turned 135 or 125 into 185. That is literally better than a 401k because you probably only put like $15,000 down on that house. And you pulled out 50 grand. You put 15,000 and 24 months later, you pulled out 50 grand. That's magic.
Like how long would it take you to save 50 grand? Like at that time?
After
like,
tax dollars too. You got to make 80. You got to make 80.
Years. It would have took me 10, 15 years to save.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's magic. And so many people just like, they discount the power of the leverage that real estate can become, man. I mean, it can be a really cool asset. And I'm an advocate for it, man. Like you will always hear me say that because you can't do that stuff in the stock market. You can't do it with your crypto. You can't do it with your 401k. Sure, you can take a collateralized loan against it, but you can only do 50%. And you got to meet all these terms and expectations. But to be able to put down $15,000 and turn that into $50,000 back in your pocket, tax-free, by the way. Yep. Because it comes to you in the form of debt. That's magic.
That's magic.
If I ever seen David Copperfield do a trick, that's what it is right there. And by the way, for all you young bucks that don't know David Copperfield out there, best magician of all time. He turned an elephant into a beautiful woman and then into a Cadillac, all on top of some hotel in Las Vegas. Unbelievable.
And he walked right through the wall of China.
Yeah, that's insane. That's insane, man. Yeah, so, these magicians these days ain't got nothing on David Copperfield.
So tell me about a mistake. I mean, what's a mistake that you made, either buying a property or assessing it wrong? Like, tell me about a mistake that you made and that you learned from.
Oh man, an inspector, like not having the right inspector. Going on not knowing. I'll tell you, the biggest mistake is not knowing the right questions to ask. I think this sinks so many people. I just didn't know what I was looking for, and if you don't know what you're looking at, you just don't know what a good deal is or what a bad deal is. And at this point, I was already going so fast on our journey. This is our fourth property. This property, I mean, it caused a multitude of headaches. But if I had just known the right questions to ask the inspector, known what to look for, known what really the friction points and the breakdown points are going to be, that would have saved me a ton of money. I mean, this house has cost me, my God, this has been a hard deal to be in. I'm not going to lie, because not all of them are home runs. Right. You hear about all these gurus online. They're like, oh my God, we're just knocking it out of the park over here. I know stats. I know math. Nobody's batting 100. Yep. And so that's what happened, man. I bought this house, had mold in it. I didn't realize it at the time, but there was a small leak behind the kitchen sink in the wall. And it was slow enough, and it was probably about one small drip every 45 seconds, every minute and a half, something like that. And that's enough. Over time, it turned. And then what happened was the tenant was leaving, and they were turning the AC off in the middle of the day and turning it on at night. And in Alabama, poof, in the middle of August, you're breeding a mold at that point. This is a breeding ground. It's like, come on. It's like our borders right now. Come on in. Come on in, brother. I mean, it was just like, there was mold everywhere. There was mold on like the loofah in their bathroom. There was mold on the back of the door in one of the closets. Nasty. Like, she would buy bananas and literally mold would be on it in the morning. Like, I was like, I had to get them out of there. It was that was probably the worst deal. But now when I go back and look back at the inspector's photos, I'm like, oh, there it is. I should have asked about XYZ. Bang, 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 bang. Fired that guy, by the way. Yep. Yeah.
So you got to have a solid inspection.
Have to.
Yep.
And you got to know what you're looking for. You got to know the right questions to ask. Hey, why didn't you get on this roof? Why didn't you look inside this vent? What's going on underneath that thing? Hey, can you send me the high resolution of this, of what's going on underneath the sink?
What about the old advice everybody hears in real estate? Location, location, location. How true is that?
I think it's imperatively true. I think, no matter what you buy from Home Depot or Lowe's, you can never fix that location. Doesn't matter how much you paint that thing up, it's never going to fix
Highway
it.
or train in the backyard, cemetery next door.
Nothing you can buy from Home Depot
across the
alone
street.
is going to fix that. Yeah, location's great, man. Location's perfect. I look at location. So like whenever I don't buy houses in flood zones. I buy 3-2s, 4-2s. I don't buy anything with the deck. They're all brick. I have very tight criteria of what I purchase to mitigate and limit all my risk. Also location. It has to be next to an interstate, or not next to an interstate. It has to be very, within a mile of an interstate, right? It's got to be within near an Air Force base. It's got to have XYZ, bang, 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 bang. Location's everything.
Location's everything. Yep.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah. And don't listen to these gurus that tell you to go buy the $40,000 house that's going to, cash flow 2% because it's in a crackhead neighborhood. Let me tell you, man, that thing will burn down or somebody's going to die in that house and you don't want to get that phone call. I don't buy houses with swimming pools for that reason. Constant maintenance, number one. Yep. It's all that pool stuff's going to break down at some point. But then I'm going to get a call in the middle of the night. Hey, listen, Johnny's kid died in the pool, or their dog died, or something happened that's going to be a negative impact. Right now, if I had an STR, totally different story. But for a long-term rental, you don't need a pool. Right? Mitigate risk mitigation. Right. So I couldn't live with myself for that. So that's why I don't buy those.
How do you counter the argument that real estate investing is only for wealthy and well-connected people?
I think the average person, it's a great question. I think Robert Allen, do you know who Robert Allen is? So I got to meet Robert Allen. Robert Allen was the guy, the original OG that got dropped in. He claimed that he could get dropped into any neighborhood, anywhere, anytime, give him $100, take his license and give him a hotel room and a phone and a newspaper and he will find a real estate deal. He did this long before Grant Cardone did the Undercover Billionaire. Like Grant Cardone stole this idea from him and then put it all over TV, just so that all you know. I see you out there, GC. I love you, dog. I love you, GC. Anyway, Robert Allen did this, right? But he was the same. He's the guy that said, hey, look, any person can create $10,000 a month in real estate within about 10 years time, maybe 15 for some people. It can become a little more challenging, but most people can create $10,000 a month in passive income through real estate. I think it's obtainable for most people. And a lot of people right now, oh my God, do you know how the cost of living is? I'm like, look, I live in the same country as you. We're all living in North America unless we're being broadcasted in Korea somewhere, right? But as far as I know, this is being broadcasted all over North America. Yes or yes?
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. So most people can qualify for this. Now, do they got to bring their lifestyle down some? Yeah. Do they have to go live with their mommy and daddy for a little bit? That may be possible. But if they're willing to make those choices and save up that 20% or do like we talked about earlier, a HELOC, a cash out refi, or they're willing to do a house hack or something like that, it is totally within reach of anyone who wants it. You just got to want it.
Yep. Blue collar millionaires. I just love it because you can become a millionaire in real estate. I've seen it with my clients. I've just seen it, numerous times. It's the easiest way to create wealth.
Yeah.
With less risk.
Yeah.
You can throw money in the real estate. You can put it in crypto or what was that movie I just watched the other day? The documentary on, was it AMC?
Oh yeah, man. That was great. That run up, man. It's called Dumb Money.
Yeah.
Roaring Kitty.
Oh man.
Deep value. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you could throw money at stuff like that, but it's super high risk. Real estate, you can touch it, you can feel it, see it, you can flip it, you can rent it.
I can slap that thing and say, this is mine, dog. I own it. That's the power of real estate. They can't take it away from you.
What's your advice to young person that's like, I'm too young to start investing in real estate or to buy property?
Man, I wish I'd started 10 years sooner.
Yeah,
it's like working out. It's like, wish you'd start 10 years sooner, right? I got a guy right now. He's 38 years old. I love this guy. He's great. He's killing it. He's working out 2 hours a day, trying to get to my level. I started this when I was 19 years old. I got to work out 30 minutes a day, probably 4 days a week, maybe 3 days a week, maybe 2 days. Maybe I could take 3 weeks off. I'm still going to look the same. Because I got consistency. I wish he's like, man, I wish I'd started this 10 years sooner. I'm like, dog, you should be wishing you started this 20 years sooner.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I would do. If I could start this all over again, and I had even the little bit of money that I was making back when I was like in my 20s, making $10 an hour, $11 an hour, if I had just not put any of that in a 401k and saved it to get my first house, I would be far, I would be 10 times down the road. I would have 100 or 200 homes. It compounds and it compounds fast, but you got to have time do the heavy lifting. Yep. Time is the biggest thing.
What's some advice? A lot of the people that watch this are realtors, and what would be some advice you could give them to work or to find investors like you to work with?
Sure. So it's crazy. That is a really good question. So as an investor, I tell you what I'm looking for. That's the first thing. I'll tell you exactly what I'm looking. I'm looking for somebody that's going to bring me a deal. I don't want to have to hunt for a deal and then find somebody who hey, help me close this deal. I want somebody, hey, look, I got an off-market property. Here's what it is. Bang, 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 bang. You've already told me your criteria. Bang, 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 bang. In fact, the fact that you asked this, I'm going to go ahead and reveal this for a couple of people out there who are hungry. You think you got some dogs in your network listening to this? Some hungry people, some dogs. Oh, yeah. Like some people that are hungry.
Junkyard like they're just dogs, baby.
Yeah, that's right. They're ready to get it, right? So I cold call people. I literally cold call FSBOs and for rent by owners, right? I'll call them. I got a script. I use reverse selling, and I'll call them. And if they don't want to sell their property, I'll just ask them, say, look, I completely understand. I'm a real estate investor myself. Are you looking to add more properties to your portfolio? And all of a sudden they're like, who's going to say no to that? What real estate investor that's a successful real estate investor is like, no, dog, I'm good. Nobody's going to say that. They're going to be like, what you got? Right? Give me your best email. Cool. Bam. I got some properties coming up. Bang, bang, bang. And I'm always on the hunt. I think a lot of real estate agents, this is unfortunate for the real estate sales professional industry. They all of them. I'll just throw them all in there, right? 99.9% of them take their attention off the game. They want time off, or they want a reprieve. They want to be able to make some commission and go to Cuba, or they want to be able to do this or whatever it may be because they see somebody else doing it. My wife and I have done incredibly well financially. I feel like I'm hungrier than 99.9% of these people out there that ain't got $10 in their pocket. I'm like, if you only got $10, you better be going out and eating it, right? Like you better be getting up the market quick because I'm coming to get it. And it's like, tell me what you want, bring me the properties, I'll buy. I mean, that's all it is. Like you know what you're looking for, and it helps that I'm a real estate investor. I have for instance, I call somebody the other day. I cold called this guy. He's got a house on the market right now for $24,000 a month. Why he has it on a for rent by owners website, I have no idea. But I cold called this guy, right? Like this. I did some research for this guy. This guy runs an AI startup fund that does medical robotic devices, right? I'm like, why does this guy have this massive house on this site? And I was like, whatever. So I cold called him. I started talking to him, and I just ran my reverse selling script. And then he was like, you know what? We don't want to sell this property, but we have another one at this address over here. We want to get $20 million for this house. And so I started doing the comps. Obviously, it's nowhere near it, right? But I'm like, I can find somebody for 15. Would you be open to it? And they're like, not really. And I was like, let me find somebody who will offer you 15, and we'll see if that tune says that at that point, right? But it's the fact that this gentleman would have even a conversation with me. But I told him, I said, look, I'm a real estate investor. I have 17 properties. I'm going to tell you a magical secret that I've discovered when I tell people that. All of a sudden, my credibility instantly goes higher than any real estate agent that they've ever worked with, right? Because I'm a real estate investor.
You're in the game.
Yeah, I'm in the game. I got cash flow. But here's what the funny story about this is, that they think that I have 17 properties here in Florida. And I never tell them differently unless they ask, right? I'm like, I never discovered this a lot. Like instantly, it's like, oh my God, you got 17 of these? Yeah, I got 17 rental properties, right? And so they're like, okay, well, tell me about, and then they start asking me about property management. Do you have a property management company that you recommend? Absolutely, I do. Do you got a handyman? Absolutely. I got a flooring guy. I got a tile guy. I got all this stuff. And I start bringing in value. And hey, look, we don't want to sell this year. I got a guy right now. I'm thinking of him right off the top of my head. He literally was like, hey, look, I don't want to sell this year, but stay in touch with me because I am looking to sell next year. Bam. And it's a for rent, but it's a for rent by owner, and I'm bringing in value. But the fact that I am a real estate investor, I'm already in the game, man. I'm elevated, because then you got like William that's going to come up there and say, hey, you want to sell this house? He's like, dog, get out of here. I got somebody. I got a more qualified individual than you. Yeah.
Yeah, and the investor's gonna want to use you because you get it.
Yeah.
Like you completely
get the game.
You get the game.
I get the game, dude. You can't be scared.
Language.
Yeah, you can't be scared to dig the danger, man. Like you got to get in there. Like it's amazing how many realtors will not cold call. Like they will not call somebody. They're scared of sales. They're scared of the phone. They're scared of objections. They're scared of whatever's going to come out of that person's mouth. Oh my God, it's scary. I'm like, no, running from a crackhead in a dark alley is scary. Not somebody telling me, no, we don't want to sell right now. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it sounds crazy.
It's not so scary. It's just fear paralyzes people.
Yeah.
It's like the fear of getting rejected.
Yeah.
That's what they're.
I'm way past that. See, that's what's going to be. I'm going to eat this market up, man, because I'm way past that. I'm way past like, oh no, okay, cool. I'm going to put you on my follow-up list and call you in 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? Some people are like, you're going to call him back? Heck yeah, I'm going to call him back. He told me no. Doesn't mean no right now. Not no forever. It's just a no right now. Right?
Well, you mentioned something just a second ago about providing value to people. Ask about a tile guy, ask about, pool guy or whatever. or a management company.
Yeah.
How do you leverage like those local connections to get deals?
So I'll tell you, I've got an $8 million listing that I work with. Shout out to Tony Hernandez. He's awesome with High Tide Waterfront Properties. He built this incredible stellar property on Singer Island, and he allowed me to go in there and do like multiple open houses. And I got to meet all the people in the neighborhood. And can I tell you a story about Barbara? Yeah. Barbara lives across the street. Now on Singer Island, most of the houses on Singer Island that are on the water, on the canal side, are locked in a time warp or a time capsule of 1965. I mean, they're just there. They didn't break loose even in the 80s, man. They still look like they're 1960s. So Barbara comes across the street and she comes and talks to me, and God bless her heart, man. Barbara is like the most incredible woman ever. She is 90 years old. Barbara moved in the house across from this $8 million behemoth palace, right, in this little 1,300 square foot 1965 house. She moved in this house, I think, in 1963. She bought this and 30 years old. She lived in it her entire life. She's 30 years old. She comes across, starts talking to me, and we strike up a friendship. She tells me how she is the treasurer and the collections for Singer Island. By the way, had $24 a month home HOA out there. I think that's just to keep Frosty up in the wintertime. Whenever they put those decorations out, they got to pay somebody to go out there. Yo, you need to put Frosty up. He's tilted over. Had a little too much to drink. But I mean, it's a situation where Barbara comes over and we build up this rapport. And we start talking to her, and you'd be amazed. She's got some stories. And so I asked her, I said, Barbara, like this house right here, obviously, you paid $55,000 for this in 1963, right? And I said, how come you didn't buy the house next door? And I mean, everybody's like, duh, right? That'd be incredible. Turn a $55,000 investment into a $2.8 million return 30 years later. It's insane, right? Actually, 60 years later, now that I think about it and I do the math. But I mean, it's like, number one, $55,000 was a lot of money back in 1963. Like a lot of money. She's like, that's what she told me. She's like, you got to understand, Jason, $55,000 was a lot of money. And also, number two, nobody thought like that. Like nobody thought that they were running out of space, or this is how limited this is. It just wasn't a thing then. Yep. And so Barbara comes over. I talk with her all the time. She shuffles across the street. I'm like, oh, here comes Barbara. She brought me cookies the other day. And she comes over and says to me, she's like, my husband, I think his name is Tom or Ted or something like that. She's like, my husband, he's got a bad hip, and we had this problem with our pool, and the deck is like it's like uneven or something like that. Some root system got under there, and it's made it uneven. Do you know a guy that can help us with this? And I see Barbara like I see my grandmother, right? That passed away years ago, right? I want to help this woman, and I think a lot of real estate agents need to step up and be that role of service for her, right? And it's like, hey, look, I got you. I hunted. I told her, I said, I got a tile guy. I didn't have a tile guy, but I told her I had a tile guy. But the moment that I made that, right, that same adage, right, that overpromise, overdeliver, right? So I overpromise, hey, look, I got a tile guy. I'll get it done for you. Count on me. Consider this done, right? And all of a sudden, I just start making phone calls. Like when I go back in the house, I'm on a fury dial. Hey, do you know a tile guy? Do you know a tile guy? I finally get one. I interview him. I go out there. I call him over to the house. I meet him. I said, okay, let's go in. I walk in with him to meet Barbara and all that stuff. I'm there with him the whole time. I didn't go do the job with him, but that was the initial thing. Yep. And then Barbara came over one time and I did another open house, and she was like, I just want you to know, Tyler, shout out to you, Tyler, the tile guy. That's how you are in my phone book, because I don't have your last name, Tyler. Sorry. Anyway, but she's so happy with the service, right, that I provided. Now she's like, I got an issue going on with my boat. You got a boat guy? I'm like, I got a boat guy, right? I don't have a sailboat guy, but I got a boat guy. We're going to try to see if we can get to the bottom of this. But, whether or not it turns into a sale or not, it doesn't matter, because, I think at some point you can't do everything with the expectation and the outcome of money. You have to do it, and you gotta. I really feel there's an element of faith here. Like you got to step out on a limb, and you got to have a little bit of faith. We're both believers here. Like God's going to show up, man. But you gotta dig the hole first. He'll bring the rain, but he ain't going to bring the rain first if you don't dig the hole and plant the seed. Yep. And you got to meet people. You got to connect with people, not with the expectation of like, okay, I'm going to help this person out to get this listing here. It's like, hey, look, I'm going to help this person out because she's 90 years old. She reminds me of my grandmother, and it would make me feel good if I helped her out. And I got the connections. I had the ability to create the connection. Let's do it.
What goes around comes around.
Absolutely. 1,000%.
Awesome. That's a great story. What would you say, to an agent that's maybe starting out in real estate, or maybe has been an agent for a while, but has like no social media presence?
Sure.
What would you suggest?
First of all, start posting on social media.
And how do you stay consistent? I know you're very consistent on your posts. So.
I love it. You got to love it. Like you can't just be like, I'm gonna make a post. Oh God, oh, right, and like it's 4 likes. Oh, I don't care about any of that stuff. I just post and keep going, post and keep going, post. I just beat it up, man. Like it means, I don't put a lot of emotion into it. I'd say for a new agent, like you have to have social media. I would treat it like a business card. You can't expect to pull in a massive amount of clients from social media. It doesn't matter what you do.
That's right.
You're not pulling in clients. Like people are not going to you know what? I saw you post that $7 million house, and I didn't even see your face, by the way. All I saw was this beautiful video that you shot through there. I need to list it with you, or I want to buy this house. That's never going to happen in any universe. Right. It's just not, because people need to know, like, and trust you. They got to be hey, look, I connect with this guy. I connect with this guy's values. I mean, you have to connect with this individual on a personal level. You can't do that on these faceless accounts that you see.
Right.
You know what I'm talking about. Yep. Those faceless accounts. And, I think if you're going to start with social media, go into the expectation of like, look, I may not get any clients on here. This is just a business card. This is like if I'm doing an open house somewhere, somebody grabs my card, because God knows they're going to Google you first.
Yep.
They're going to Google you first. Then they'll decide themselves that they want to move forward with you. So they're going to check out your Insta. They're going to check out your Facebook, your Snapchat, whatever else is out there, TikTok, and anything else you got going on. And it's like understanding, like, even though you may make a post from years ago, they may see that post and be like, you know what? I resonated with him about his dog dying. I want to give him a call. Because they're not going to call you on the faceless account. But I mean, those accounts are pretty and all, but I think that's the most important thing. Get your face out there. People want to know. They want to know how fast you talk. Because I talk so fast sometimes that people are like, oh my God, this guy's exhausting. Right? They tell me that all the time. Like, people will listen to my podcast and be like, normally I listen to podcasts at 1.5 speed, but I can't do that with you, dog. It's way too much, right? Yep. But I mean, it's a situation where, like, sometimes it's a great energy match. Sometimes it is. And more often than not, though, it is, because I come with the intention of I want to help people. But, I get excited. I love helping people. And you got to love helping people. You got to love to want to meet people. And if you're going to be an agent and you're going to put yourself out there on social, put it out there with the expectation. Business card. I want to meet people. I want to talk to people. I want to start and generate conversations. And I want to put my face out there, because the better you can get at controlling this device and cameras, like talking to a camera as if it's a human being, the further you're going to go. Yep. Yeah, right. And do live videos. So many people discount the power of live video. They all want to do a reel and they can edit it and chop it up, and there's nothing wrong with any of that stuff. I know that's what you guys do here, but like the power of live video, being able to jump it off the cliff, people get to see your cadence, they get to see what you're involved with, they get to see how confident you are and what it is you're saying and what you believe in. That is where the true power is at. Even though you don't get a lot of views, I'm telling you, live video will transform the way you show up. It really, really will.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And we start doing some lives.
Yeah, live video, like all day long. They beat that. Like here's the thing about it, man. I would, if it was me, right? If I tell people this all the time, and we run a large sales team. I'm like, look, you are so blessed that we live in this generation, in this time and human existence, that you can say whatever you want, however you want, to whoever you want, as many times as you want, to like all over the world, all over the globe, and you can broadcast to millions of people, and the cost at the end of the month is zero. Right. Like zero. Understand that if you want it, and you can do it live, and understand that if you wanted to do that years ago, it would have been a lot of money, but you can do it for free now. And that's what makes it even so hard for so many people. They just can't seem to just continue to do what it is that makes them successful. Yep. Yeah.
And I think what some people don't understand is that you are the brand.
Yeah.
It's not the company you work for.
Absolutely.
It's you. So you got to build your personal brand.
Have to. Everybody's got a personal brand. Your wife has a personal brand. Adrian's got a personal brand. Everybody's selling too. Like, I sold my wife 22 years ago that I'm the man. Don't worry about any of these other dudes. I'm the man. We got this. I sold her that. I sold her that dream. Now I got to keep delivering that dream, but I sold her that dream with a warranty on the back end of it too. You know what I mean? Everybody's a brand.
Yep. 100%. Well, that's good stuff. I got a couple rapid fires for you, and we'll wrap up.
Let's go.
Favorite hobby?
Favorite hobby. It's going to sound kind of crazy. When I like to work out, but that's not really a hobby. I am fascinated with drone flying, the one that you put the goggles on your face. I own one of those. It fascinates me. Like, I pick it up, and every time I'm just like, oh my God, this is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Yeah, I love it. That's probably, but I don't ever do it. So I don't know if it's a hobby or not. I mean, does that make it a hobby, or does it just kind of make it a fun too?
We'll call it a hobby.
Yeah. All right, let's do it.
Favorite business book?
Oh my God. My favorite book. Can I just say my favorite book of all time?
Yeah.
I think every man should listen to this book. It's called Way of the Superior Man. Like by far the best book I've ever read. Like Any Man Out There, Way of the Superior Man by David Data. Like if you want to be the man that you've always wanted to be, like step into that role for your wife, for your children, for your community, for your clients, like for yourself, like it's unbelievable. Like, and I listen to this book. Every man should listen to this book 5 times a year. Like I'm telling you, man, like other than the Bible, there is no other book below that one. Like, now if I was going to say business book, Be Obsessed or Be Average, Grant Cardone, hands down.
That's a great book.
Hands down. Yeah. I mean, I know Grant and his people over there. Shout out to you, Steve Spray. I mean, those guys are doing an amazing job over there. But that was the first time that when I listened to that book in 2016, I heard him come on John Lee Dumas's podcast. And I was like, who is this old dude with a gravelly voice? And it was just like, wow. And I got the book, and it was the first time somebody told me that the fact that I'm different is a great thing. I've always been told that, like, man, you're different. You're too much. You got to slow down. Who do you think you are? Yeah. You know, my parents tried to medicate me and all this other stuff. And that was the first time somebody said, hey, listen, man, like these are all superpowers. Lean in.
Yep.
Yeah. Best book ever. Yeah.
Favorite podcast?
My own. Where's my money? I mean, by far, hands down, where's my money? I mean, and I say that not to be biased, but I just want to teach people the true pathway to freedom, like financial freedom. I mean, because you get to the end of your life and you'll be like, I sunk a bunch of money in the stock market. I sunk a bunch of money. And this is not a put down on stock market. This isn't real estate versus stock market, not one of those things. But, you know, I believe a lot of people are going to have a rude awakening when they get to the end of this thing and they're like, oh my God, it wasn't as much as I thought it was. You know, and I want to teach people the true pathway of financial freedom and exploring their habits, uncovering reason why they can't seem to get ahead financially on the day-to-day level, but even like a yearly level, and how to hit goals in financial management. So money is such an important topic that so many people do not talk about it because they feel ashamed. They feel, you know, some people are prideful. Some people are ashamed. Some people are shameful of where they've come from. And that's what I love about my podcast. Where's my money? It's just, I really want people to embody that core spirit of wealth. And I love talking about money, and I want to help people.
We'll post the link below.
Yeah, let's do it.
Comments. Who inspires you?
That's a good one. I think different people, where I'm at in my life, what I'm looking for. I'm not ever looking for anyone to personally, like, oh, I'm going out here to find an inspiration. But I think a lot of it is the man that I know that I can be. I think that's the first thing. It's not a single person, and the man that I know that I can be is always changing. Like it's always changing. Hey, I want to be a better father. Hey, I want to be a better with my money. I want to be better real estate agent. I want to be better real estate investor. Hey, I want to be a better pillar of my community. I want to show up for my son more. You know what I'm saying? I think that's what inspires me is the future vision of who I know that I can be.
Have you seen that Matthew McConaughey video? So good, right?
What is it? I have not seen it.
Well, basically, that's what he's saying is like, you know, when he was 25, you know, the man that inspires him is the man he is when he's 35. And then when he's 35, it's like the man he's going to be when he's 45. And like every 10 years, like he always tries.
You're on the chase. Yep. You're on the chase, man. I that's where I feel like it used to be individuals, you know, but now that I've gotten to this point in my life, man, it's really, I'm chasing who I'm supposed to be. Yep. Like I feel it. Like I'm getting chill bumps right now because I feel it in my bones of where I can go. Like, especially whenever I'm believing in myself and nobody else does. And I'm like, I mean, dude, like you got to understand, man, like so many people, and I talked about this on the Instagram post that Adrian, shout out to you, Adrian. You do a great job here. I talked about this in the post that so many people poo-pooed the idea of investing in real estate. Number one, they try to talk us out of it. Family members, friends, even people in real estate. They're like, you shouldn't invest in real estate. I'm like, this is what you do. And you're trying to talk me out of this, right? And then you got other people like, oh, you don't go into single family homes, go into multifamily, do this, do that, storage units, all this other stuff. And I'm like, look, how successful has that been for you, right? And it's you know, it's just chasing this individual of who I know that I can truly be, man. That's who inspires me. Future self. That's the word I'm looking for.
Yep.
Future self. Like I'll ask myself sometimes, like, in 3 to 6 months from now, is my future self going to be happy with me? Is my future self going to be happy with where I'm at if I make this decision right now? No. Like if I you know, mess around doing whatever, like wasting time doing this, in an hour from now, is my future self going to be happy? No.
All right.
I need to fix that. Let's go do this.
It's interesting as you get older, you start thinking about this stuff. Yeah. And when you have kids, you know, I think about this stuff all the time. I'm like, okay, 10 years from now, my daughter will be, 19, my son will be 16. Like, what's my life going to look like?
Yeah. I can tell you what it's going to look like.
Stressful. Have I raised them how I wanted to? Have I taught them everything they need to be successful, to go out there, to make good decisions? Like, those are things that I worry about. Those are things that I want to strive to be great at.
And you don't know that until they do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't know. Like, my daughter's 20. She's made some incredible choices. I'm like, where'd you get that idea from? She's like, I watched you do this. It's not what I told her. It's what she saw me do. Yeah. You know, and this is what's so powerful about the country we live in. We live in the freest country in the world, man. And my wife does network marketing, and you know, it's no secret. If you follow me, that we made a ton of money doing network marketing, and you know, that's where we made all the money. Nobody gave us anything. That's where we made all the money to invest in real estate, right? The greatest thing about what we did, though, is the fact that we were unbelievably dead broke before network marketing. We had a dream, we had ambition, just had no systems or business to plug into. Yep. And our kids saw us come from nothing. That's the most important thing. They literally saw us build a business out of the dirt, the mud, you know, the negativity, the doubts, the fear. They saw us build a we've gone on to sell like $190 million worth of products. That's insane. Right. But I mean, it's so many people that fear stopped them. But the most important thing is that my children saw me do that so they know it's possible for them. It's what I tell everybody. You need to go build a business. Stop working in your W-2 job. Or if you've got a dream, go pursue it. And there's nothing wrong with W-2s. There's nothing wrong with that. So I'm thinking it's not a put down on that. But if you have a dream inside of you that is bigger than your W-2, you need to go do it. You need to find whatever pathway is going to lead you to it, because your kids need to see you do that, because they will know it's possible for them. That's the whole purpose of success, is that somebody else knows that the dream inside of them is within reach as well.
You know, there's a good book called One Word. I don't know if you ever read it, but it's a very simple book. And, you know, this year or every year we do an offsite team meeting where I take the entire staff, you know, we rent out a conference room or a hotel somewhere. We spend an entire day just working on our business plan, company business plan, branch, and then we do all personal goals. Business. We really break everything down. We break down our process. We talk about our culture, our core values. If we're going to hire people this year,
love it. I'd love to come in and speak there, man. If you're looking for somebody, let me come in.
Get us all jacked up.
Yeah. No, I mean, not motivation, but sheer tactical.
And then one other exercise we do a lot of different exercises. One of them we do is called the One Word, where instead of having like all these different goals and all these different things you want to do for the year, if you boil that down into one word, that's going to be like your mantra for the year. Like that word is going to guide you. That word will allow you to accomplish all these goals. What is that word? And so everybody, we all did our one words. And it's interesting what you just said, because my one word this year was excellence. But it was excellence because I want my kids to see me being excellent at what I do, being an excellent father, being an excellent husband, you know, showing up at work, doing big things, not thinking small.
Yeah.
I want them to see that.
Yeah. I love it. Have you seen Coach Prime on Amazon? Oh my God, it's incredible. Deion Sanders, like that's his thing, excellence. To show up at excellence every single day. And that dude, brother, we're on the same page with that, man. I mean, seriously, like it's, I don't have time. I like when I leave this earth, I just want my kids to know. And that's the only person that really matters to me is my wife and my two kids, man. Because my mom will be gone, my family, my parents, all those people will be gone when I'm gone. You know, and none of the Instagram will matter, none of the Facebook will matter, but my kids will know that I gave it everything I got. And I think that's the most important thing, is just excellence in everything that you do. Yep. You know, that's what they talk about in the Bible too. You know, God says, show up with excellence. I think you have to show up with focus to be excellent. I think you have to show up with intention to be excellent. I think you have to show up with willing to sacrifice something to be excellent. Would you agree with all three of those? Like, that's the thing. This world is a distracted world. Nobody's focused. Nobody's intentional. Like, well, if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't work out, it was never meant to be. Right. And that's what I think, like we talked about real estate agents. We talk about you can plug that in for anybody, anytime, anywhere. Mother, father, you want to be a great mom, you want to be a great dad, you want to be a great real estate agent, you want to be a great grocery bagger, put in everything else in between, CEO. And excellence is great. My word would be dream big. Like I don't know. Can I run those together? Can that be one word? I mean, if I was part of this exercise, would you let that slide?
Throw a little hyphen in there.
Yeah, there you go. We'll kind of bridge that gap there. But I mean, mine's dream big, man, because you know, I will be very honest with you. I'm not perfect. You know, I can look back at areas of my life where small dreaming killed me. Like listening to people with small dreams killed me, but me believing that stuff, right? Sell it, be sold, baby. I bought it. They sold it to me and I bought it, right? That small dream that just people are like, oh, you shouldn't do that. You should do this instead. Like I wanted to be a real estate agent in Colorado. I wanted to get connected with this guy who was a major player out there, and I knew the only way to go get connected with him was to work for him. I knew that. I'm smart enough to realize that. And I wanted to do it. I mean, this dude was doing major things. And a friend of mine that I respected came along, knocked me right out of it. Just like, you don't need to be a real estate agent. You should be a real estate investor. And I was like, I'm already a real estate investor. But I knew I wanted to work with this guy, but never worked out because I didn't listen to it. Because I didn't listen to me. I listened to this guy. I bought the small dream. And I think that's where a lot of people, you can't be excellent buying small dreams.
That's it.
Yeah. You know, you can't. Like you got to have focus, intentional, and you got to be willing to sacrifice something, but you got to dream big, freaking big. And I think that's another thing that kids, you know, they need to see you do too.
Dream big.
Yeah, dream big, man.
Love it, brother.
Yeah.
This is fun.
Yeah, it's great, man.
I appreciate you having on.
Thanks for
coming
having
on the
me
pod,
on, man.
This is a good combo.
Yeah, this is great. I'd love to come back. I'll have you on my podcast as well.
Yeah, let's
Where's
do it.
my money?
All right, brother. We'll post Jason's stuff below. And also the link to his free guide for investing. We'll link that below as well, and link to his pod.
Sounds great.
Thanks again, brother.
Awesome. Thank you for
Appreciate
having
it.
me.